Week 6 gives us a pretty deep waiver wire. It's kind of deep at running back. It's kind of deep at wide receiver. A lot of landmines that we got to figure out here because not all of them are going to hit. But some possibilities, not certainties, here on the waiver wire that could help us out. One of them right now is Jalen Tolbert. Brandin Cooks is out. Jalen Tolbert's getting work. The Cowboys, we all know this. They're very ambiguous week to week. That means they could be in game scripts where the ball's flowing to Jalen Tolbert. So we got to look at him for fantasy football. We're going to deep dive him today. The good, the bad, the ugly, to see whether or not you need him for your fantasy team. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now, because we're doing deep dives every day on as many players as possible, just like this one. On top of that, we're using these videos to help you set your lineups. Click that button. Stop missing out. Ric Flair's watching you. Don't disappoint him. We are looking at Brandin Cooks, and he's going to be out for a bit. That means Jalen Tolbert's going to get more run. He's got less competition in the offense for targets. We got more upside week to week, and we're already seeing that with him catching 7 balls off 10 targets last week, 87 yards and a touchdown, more volume, more snaps, more everything from Jalen Tolbert. And there's a lot of numbers here when it comes to his work rate that should get you excited, but he wasn't productive over the last few years. However, the one thing you'll see from his trend line is every year it's a little bit more. That's something you want to see from your wide receivers, from your prospects, especially those prospects from smaller schools, as they start to get acclimated to their team. Every year, they show a little bit of something more. A little bit of something more. That means they're developing. That means the coaching staff likes them because they're allowing them to stay around. And we heard that through rumblings, through the Dallas Cowboys, through their media, through their podcast, that they really liked Jalen Tolbert. And going back to South Alabama, this guy was a producer. That's the one thing about him. He was a producer at the G5 level. Not all G5 level wide receivers who are productive hits, but it is a prerequisite to those small school wide receivers that do hit, because you barely get any G5 wide receivers that can't compete at the smaller school level there. 3.16 yards per route ran in 2021, and we got a good ADA, average depth of target, all throughout his collegiate career, averaged out on his career at 15.8, and we're seeing that right now. That's why we're looking at this, because we're connecting the dots, and we're seeing that right now. A G5 player, a small school player, taking extra time to develop, but also seeing deeper targets, and he was also very productive from a market share standpoint. Broke out at age 20 in his draft class, compared with Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, Reggie Robertson, and as in some other wide receivers here. Very productive wide receiver. He's a money ball play back then in the draft. That being said, he was a little cheaper. The odds against him hitting was against him a little bit because he had to transition from a lower level to immense level to the NFL. And that being said, we took some time for this breakout here in 2024. And again, the athletic specs are there. He can compete. We got enough size. We got enough speed. We got enough burst. We're good enough on that front, and we're earning targets. We got 29 targets on the season. And the one thing you want to note here, over here to the side at 12.7, average target, ADA, average depth of target. He's getting the ball deep downfield. He's getting opportunities to make big plays, and we're getting a good target share, 15% target share on the season, but that's going to rise. Brandin Cooks is out. Some of that's going to go his way because they both have similar target shares. Dak Prescott trusts him. He's been making plays, and you're looking at what he did last week. On 10 targets, he ran 40 routes, almost a 90% route participation rate, 24% target share, and 8 out of 11.9. He's getting volume. He's getting volume downfield, and we're getting the work rate of a guy that can produce in fantasy football. That is something we want. That is something that's going to project to be very steady. That's going to be something that projects for upside. Of course, there will be downward volatility, games that where he won't hit, but also where the matchup goes right. Dak has to throw the ball. We're going to see this. We're going to see games like this where he scores. Maybe it's 6 targets. Maybe it's 4 balls caught for 40 yards and a touchdown, 5 balls caught for 60 yards. Maybe it's something like that where you're going to see work rate increase. He's earning more work. Targets are earned for wide receivers. He's earning it. We got a good matchup here against the Detroit Lions. I don't see how we don't want to start him against the Detroit Lions. 49ers, maybe, maybe not. The Niners are more bend but not break compared to other years. And then we got some other matchups here. The Lions are allowing 27.9% more than league average to wide receivers right now. Wide receivers are hitting against them. Wide receiver 2s on their teams are having good production against them compared to other wide receiver 2s against other teams. That's one thing to note from the chart here in production. So there's some upside here for Tolbert. We should have a high over-under for this matchup. Should be pushing 50. I would guess around like 48, 47-ish. 46 on the low on DraftKings or whatever book you're looking at. But we should see the ball flowing in this matchup. You don't want them. You're good at wide receiver. I recommend stashing running backs and picking up wide receivers when needed off the waiver wire. Always chase the target share. Go off wide receivers that are getting a 20+% target share, getting a good ADOT. But the thing about Jalen Tolbert is he's going to get some of that Brandin Cooks work. He's actually been looking pretty good, and people were rostering Brandin Cooks pretty good, especially in drafts. He was having an ADP of like 10, 11, 12, depending on where you're drafting at. And that being said, Tolbert now, with Cooks out, should be around that range in value among the wide receivers, especially any given week. He can give you what we just saw, has the upside there. But are you picking up or are you not? Are you going to get him? That's the one thing about Jalen Tolbert. Do you like him? You in or you out? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One, thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.